Is live here from the 24th edition of the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair under the theme Innovate, Connect, Prosper. Of course, this is a collaboration between the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy as well as the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, and we'll bring you a number of topics during the course of this week right here from the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair. Today we unpack engineering and environmental geology, focusing mainly on geological issues. And for this conversation, I have the pleasure of welcoming two very esteemed gentlemen in the space. Firstly, of course, we're welcoming Mr. Israel Hasheela, who is the Deputy Director of the Division of Engineering and Environmental Geology within the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. Very good day to you, Mr. Hasheela, and thank you for being with us here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Alongside Mr. Hasheela, of course, I also have the pleasure of welcoming Mr. Ewereth Muvangua, who is a Chief Geologist within the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. Mr. Muvangua, very good day to you, and thank you for being with us today.
It's good afternoon to you, and thanks for having me.
Fantastic.
Good afternoon to the viewers.
Pleasure to have you indeed. I think a very important, a very topical matter that certainly will address a number of key issues. Mr. Hasheela, perhaps we'll start with you as the Deputy Director of the Division of Engineering and Environmental Geology. Talk to us about your division first and foremost, and what exactly the mandate of this division is here.
Thank you. At the Geological Survey of Namibia, our division, which is the Division of Engineering and Environmental Geology, really looks at how geology affects people and the environment. We mainly have two subdivisions under this division. The one deals with environmental issues, how mining activities affect the environment. On the second side, on the other side, the subdivision of engineering geology deals with issues of the geoengineering setup of the ground, which is really issues of ground stability, especially in infrastructure development. So those are our two main areas under the Division of Engineering and Environmental Geology.
Fantastic. And of course, we'll get into more details in a bit. Mr. Muvangua, you are a Chief Geologist at the Ministry. Very big title, very important role as well, I must say. Talk to us firstly about, in essence, what a Chief Geologist does on a day-to-day basis in Namibia, and furthermore also looking at the matter of geological mapping and the state thereof in the country.
Yes. A chief geologist basically is the main guy, conducting or supervising the geological mapping at the ministry or at the geological department.
Yes.
So I'm part of the regional geoscience division, which is under the mapping and geoinfo department. Or directorate at the geological department.
Yes.
So what we basically does, we conduct geological mapping and produce geological maps. Okay. So the state of the mapping at the ministry for the country really depends on the scale of the mapping.
Okay.
So the 1 to 1 million scale is probably 95% coverage of the country. And then we have another 1 to 250,000 scale,
yes,
which is about 65% coverage for the country.
Yeah.
And then the one which is really lacking behind is a 1 to 50,000 mapping scale, which is about 10 to 15% coverage, which is quite very low.
Yeah.
So we're really working on that so we can improve the detail mapping of the country.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
When we speak about, and a huge part of this series also is, of course, addressing the terminology within the profession. So when we speak about, 1-to-1 scale, a 1 to 250 scale, for instance, for the sake of our viewers, what do we mean by this here?
Look, a scale of a map is basically just a relationship between the distance on the map, yes, and the actual distance on the ground. Yeah. So the main difference is that it's the details of this mapping. So for just a very basic example, for 1 to 50,000 mapping scale is more detailed than a 1 to 250 scale mapping. In that it brought up lots of geological features because of its of detail, which is quite important in the daily uses of our geological maps. So that's basically the main differences.
Very much indeed.
Yeah.
Mr. Hasheela, as a division, let's get into it. What are some of the issues that are currently facing the sector, the industry, issues of concern perhaps as a division? Of course, we know within your space, within your profession, there are a lot of activities that take place environment-wise. Talk to us about some of the issues of concern right now.
Yeah, I think perhaps issues of concern, I would really say, is issues of contamination. Contamination in terms of mining, we are talking about when the mining operation takes out the ore out of the ground, you have to process your ore. You have to process your material so that you extract your ore.
Yes.
And this comes with a lot of waste material that are then left in the environment. Usually this type of material is full of other elements that are not necessarily the ore that the mining is interested in. So this is waste that is then dealt with after the extraction of the ore. Yeah. It is an issue because really it poses a risk if it's not properly managed by the operator. It has got potential to contaminate your environment. Yeah. So communities that live nearby such operations or the general environment, your biodiversity, is then at risk of these poisonous elements that can really flow into the environment in different ways.
Very much.
Whether it's through wind-blown dust, wind can blow all this material that is charged with poisonous elements into the nearby living areas. Yeah. Also, there can be issues of leaching. Leaching is when water comes into contact with these facilities, and then water goes underground or seeps underground and reaches our groundwater resources, which are valuable, very scarce resources for Namibia. We all know our country is a semi-arid country, so groundwater is really an important resource to us. Yeah. So those are some of the risks that are associated with mining, and it is really our, one of our core responsibilities to go out there, go in and around this type of sites,
very much,
collect samples, and just to assess, the levels of these contaminants into this medium, to make sure that there aren't any contamination reaching. And if so, we find some, we definitely alert stakeholders to make sure that a situation like that is taken care of.
Very much. Yeah. What is the adherence to, of course, some of our guiding policies, the guidelines? We know that mining is a huge sector in Namibia. Of course, we know that there are a number of mines across the country. How would you describe the general adherence to some of our guidelines in protecting our environment here?
Yeah. Well, I think it is actually very good, I would say. Yeah. This is mainly regulated under the Environmental Management Act.
Yes.
Our role from our side as a ministry and as a geological survey, we play a role of carrying out research to find out if there has been any situation of contamination reaching into the environment, so that we advise our stakeholders, especially those that ensure compliance to the environment, like the Ministry of Environment, or our Department of Mines, which uses the Minerals Act, to act on information that comes, or that comes from the research that we carry out. But to answer the question, really, I think compliance is good. There's always room for improvement, of course. But most of the companies are doing well. I think the fact that apart from our own local legislations, companies that come from other jurisdictions or registered on different stock exchanges, there are some conditions that they also need to adhere to. So that also really, you know, adds to these companies doing well in terms of regulating and taking care of the environment.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Mr. Muvangua, your observations, of course, as a geoscientist as well, as far as, you know, the issue that we just unpacked, the impact of mining activity on the environment. What have you picked up as a regional division as well?
Yes, that's a very important question. Look, as a mapping geologist, we do this mapping, produce these maps, and then of course the maps are being utilized, you know, for these applications to find out where maybe like you said, mineral pollutants. Okay, and then that's where the importance of these maps are coming in. So I think from the mapping side, it's quite very imperative to work side by side with these other divisions so that they can use, of course, our maps.
The information.
For information's sake, so that they have informed decisions to make, like provide information that they have based, informed decisions to make, you know, tangible recommendations sort of,
very much indeed.
It's quite very important from our side.
In your mapping exercises, of course, you also can trace the number of activities, particularly pertaining to mining, for instance, and where much of these activities are concentrated. When you look at regions like Irongo, Kunene, for instance, I think that's where much of our mining activity takes place. Talk to us about that here.
Yes, the first thing you have to do is obviously research. You have to do mapping. This thing just didn't come from heaven. So research was conducted. So that's the main thing we do. So we go out there in the field. We do mapping. So we do some observations on these rock exposures or sediments, and then we do some recordings, you know, of these observations. Then we put this on a geological map.
Fantastic.
Okay. The only way to find whether there's a mineral deposit or mineral occurrence is through mapping. So there's no way you cannot find deposits without that mapping. So yes, the Rongo region is very renowned for having this many mineral occurrences and deposits because it was well researched. But currently at the ministry or at the Geography department, we are now researching or mapping a joint collaboration mapping with the University of Namibia in the Kunene region. So we hope that we will find more mineral occurrences or even mineral deposits, you know, for the betterment of our country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Hasheela, just, you know, to continue on the conversation that you earlier spoke about, the issue of abandoned mines in Namibia is quite a bigger concern. And I also want to couple it with the issue of sand mining. We find ourselves in the north right now, and we've seen in the past a number of reports around the sand mining and illegal sand mining even thereof. But oftentimes you drive past and see these massive holes in the earth, you know. How serious is this? How big of a concern is this? But also how detrimental is it to the environment here?
Yeah, good question. In terms of these abandoned mines, our division has gone out to really look at the literature so that we record all the abandoned mines that are spread across the country. Now, what we did is we have an inventory where we have recorded, I think so far, a number of 157 old unrehabilitated mine sites.
157? It's quite a lot.
Yes, it's a lot, but I think we even really have more than that. These are legacy sites. We are talking about sites that have been worked on some many years ago, before independence. Why is that the case? It's really because in the past, when you do mining, there was no legal or expectation on you to carry out rehabilitation of these sites.
Yes.
So companies would come, they would mine, they would recover their resources,
yes.
and then they would leave it in
Just
that
like
way.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not because we did not do good enough, but I think it's really because there was no environmental or laws that will compile or
compel them
these operators to rehabilitate. Yeah. So what we did is went to literature and all sorts of information that is around, whether it's with the ministry, whether it's in libraries, and collected them, put them in a database so that we can go one after the other, go there and carry out what we call risk assessments, which really looks at the physical risk of these sites and the chemical risk. Physical, we are talking about shafts that have been left open. We are talking about old planned infrastructure lying around that could pose danger to people moving around there or animals. And then we have, of course, the chemical side of things, which looks at old tailings dams. And like I have said in the beginning, this would have chemical contaminations that could spread into the environment. So it is definitely an issue we are looking at. We assist with as a division. So every year we plan surveys to go out there to these mines so that we carry out a risk assessment on each of these sites, so that really we look at what option or what remedies do we have in terms of taking care of these environments, I mean of these old sites. The sand mining issue, or this number that I've mentioned here, does not include the sand mining. It's an issue that is dealt with, I think, by the Ministry of Environment. I think you need a clearance these days, or if not, they are working towards that. So this does not even really include sand mining. And I would agree with you that sand mining, we have seen pictures that really you would not want to look at.
You believe your eyes.
And a house left on an island and everything else around is mined out. It is mining, definitely. It's just that in our legal system somehow, it is not classified with other mining activities. It's set on aside, maybe for a good reason, but I think the Ministry of Environment assists with that to make sure that going forward, this issue is really given attention.
Very much. Mr. Muvangua, of course, exploration continues in Namibia. We are at a very exciting time, not only looking at the oil and gas, but just looking at the further resources under our ground. I think, you know, there's a big hunger in Namibia right now for exploration, and I'm sure you guys are busy as an office. Of course, you talk about EIAs, environmental impact assessments, you talk about HIAs, heritage impact assessments, for instance. Just talk to us about what the maps are showing us. Are there still resources to be explored? What does it look like at present? Yes.
That's a very important question. You know, geological maps have many applications. One of them, of course, being, first and foremost, we have to understand our Earth planet. And the processes which shaped it, or which are still shaping our planet. So doing mapping research is very critical. That's one of the, we have to understand the rocks in that particular area, or the certain area, or you know. And then secondly, the other application is, of course, as you mentioned, in exploration and mining of metals or oil and gas. Not only that now, because things have changed with, you know, evolving changes in the society.
Absolutely.
So they are also being used in other applications, as Israel just alluded to, in, of course, detecting where you have, you know, exactly, and so forth. And then importantly, it also, it is being applied into water resources, you know, delineating our water, underground water aquifers and stuff like that. So we have to understand the structures, where which water are being, you know, maybe kept or allocated. So then other application is land use planning, because with the geological map, you can, you know, give information. to the relevant authorities, where they can maybe put aside for, house building and stuff like that.
Yes.
In construction, of course, you have to understand the rock types. The strength of the rock type in that area, whether it's a soft rock or a hard rock,
Yes.
So that people can have very informed decisions to do construction with those. So geographical maps have many applications.
Yes.
So I think it's a base for everything. It's a base for everything.
Very much.
So yeah, so that's
much
that's
indeed.
it.
Very crucial to Mr. Hasheela's division
yeah.
as well. Very much. Just, as far as perhaps the advice that we have, not for the government per se, because you are the government, but in terms of striking a balance. Yes, there is the need for exploration to, of course, mine these resources, etc. But also that balancing and keeping our environment safe and the harmony thereof. In your view, how are we doing in that regard? Are our policies, are the guidelines sufficient to make sure that we do exploit these resources, but in the same vein ensure that we do have a tomorrow to speak of as a country?
Yeah, I think maybe Israel will add on that because it's more. I think we have to have this sustainable exploitation of our minerals. That's quite important.
Yeah.
And I think we do have some very good policies and laws in place.
Yes.
Really looking at our national resources and keeping it for the future. We don't want just to finish it now and then, or the future generation don't have anything to to hold on and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So I think the policies and laws are quite intact.
Yeah.
They're quite very good.
Mr. Hasheela?
Yeah, maybe just to add on what Ewereth has alluded to, I agree with him fully. Government is definitely committed to ensuring that mining is done sustainably.
Yes.
I think without it being sustainable, nobody would want to be associated with it. That is exactly why government has set up different departments, different ministries that put focus on the work of protecting the environment.
Very much.
Through the Ministry of Environment, there is a whole act that deals with environmental issues,
Yes.
and mining is one of the listed activities there. It is also the reason why our own ministry, through the Minerals Act,
Yes.
has got provisions that talk about taking care of the environment. Additionally, also, it is also why we exist. Some of us as divisions, the Division of Engineering and Environmental Geology,
Yes.
to really focus in on issues of issues relating to the harmful effect of mining and how to counter that through carrying out research to make sure that if there is any contamination, pollution coming from activities, it's detected as fast as possible.
Absolutely.
So that it's
Yes.
contained.
Yes.
So these are all provisions of our government's law, of the Namibian laws,
Very much.
put in place specifically just to make sure that mining is done responsibly. And of course, not only mining, any other activity that might have might harm the environment
Very much
negatively. Yeah.
Very much. Of course, as a division, you have an engineering side to you as well, or what you call engineering geology.
Correct.
Please talk to us about this and, of course, what it looks like in practice here.
Now, this division of, or subdivision rather,
Yes.
of engineering geology deals with the ground. It deals with the characteristics of the ground
Yeah.
that matter when it comes to using land for land use purposes. You are building a road, you are building a multiple story building, you are building a residential area. You need to look at the ground where you are constructing.
Yeah.
Why? Because you might build on a geological formation that is not strong enough to support what you are putting there.
Very much.
So it is important that engineering geological surveys or geotechnical studies are carried out in such areas,
Yeah.
so that we are certain ourselves on the conditions, on the ground conditions. And if so found that there is risk in terms of using such a site,
Yes.
there are engineering solutions that are put in
Fantastic.
to make sure that the ground is competent enough.
Fantastic.
So we go out there with my division, or through my division, to really do mapping, carry out mapping on a regional scale, so that we generate maps that will indicate the different ground conditions in the different parts of the country.
You're taking me back to geography now. Tectonics and plates, yes.
Maybe I'm doing that.
Yes.
Really, yeah. But,
in essence, that's what it is.
yeah, that's really what it is. Yeah. And this is also, of course, complemented by the private sector, or the practitioners in the private sector.
Yeah.
That would look into a specific site.
Yeah.
If you have your plot, or you have your area where you want to develop a specific, or put whatever it is that you want to construct there, you can hire private geotechnical engineers to really now go into details of your specific site.
Fantastic.
While at Geological Survey, we work on a much bigger scale.
Yes.
Because of course, just to cover the whole country, and to provide you with a preliminary kind of information, geotechnical information.
Very much indeed. Of course, we need to take a quick commercial break and continue with our conversation. Mr. Muvangua, I understand, of course, you have undertaken a number of mapping exercises and surveys. We'll be hearing about those in a bit after this quick commercial break here. Of course, you are watching, that is the public information sharing sessions by the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy, taking place here on the sidelines of the 24th edition of the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair. And of course, we continue right after this short commercial break. Do stay with us. once more and welcome to this public information sharing session, of course featuring the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. My name is Dishisha Mfungu and thank you so much for joining us. I continue my conversation here. Of course, I do have two very esteemed gentlemen in the area of geoscience, and that's of course Mr. Israel Hasheela, who is the Deputy Director in the division of Engineering and Environmental Geology, and he is joined alongside Mr. Ewereth Muvangua, who is the Chief Geologist at the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. Of course, we covered quite a bit in our conversation before the break. Mr. Muvangua, of course, want to unpack some of the mapping exercises that you undertook. You've taken a number of mapping exercises. Please talk to us about this important exercise and also some of the findings thereof here.
Yes, thank you very much. As a survey, to be quite frank, we are really understaffed. We don't really have the staffing to really do the mapping of this vast country. Yeah. So in 2012, we came with an idea of collaborating with other partners. Yes. So in this case, we collaborated with the Council of Geoscience in South Africa, where we initiated the project of mapping the Karas region. So that's now in geological terms mapping the Namibia Metamorphic Complex. Okay. So the main reasons, or the other main reason for us doing this was that the Council of Geoscience in South Africa did a remarkable mapping work in the south of Orange River. So for us, we thought it was really just a good initiative for them just to continue on the northern part. Absolutely. Which is in our country, of course. And then, of course, another main reason was also to have research done in this area so that we can understand the geodynamics or the evolution, the geological evolution of this area. Yeah. And then another important thing was capacity building. Okay, so some of our staff members were capacitated during this project. Absolutely. And then we also engaged the University of Namibia and other universities in South Africa, where we had students doing their honors and masters and sometimes PhDs. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so I think it was a really very good collaboration project, which I hope will continue in the future with other institutions. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So out of this mapping, we completed more than 60 map sheets on a 1 to 50,000 scale. Yes. Yeah. And then another project, of course, is the Kamanya project. That's we call the Kamanya pin layer. The layer is just an old rock surrounded by younger ones, where we produce, I think, more than 35 1 to 50,000 scale map sheets. And now currently, as I alluded to earlier, we are now busy mapping the Kunene region in collaboration with the University of Namibia. Fantastic. Which we hope will have the same results that we have with the Council of Geoscience, and I'm very hopeful for that. So it also entails capacity building. Absolutely. So we have many honors and master students on board, and then of course foreign researchers from various institutions in with different expertise in different geological fields. So which really will help us in unpacking this very important area for Namibia. Fantastic. Yeah. Please forgive my ignorance, but does a mapping exercise typically take this long? For instance, the Karas mapping project was between 2013 and 2022, which is a 9-year period. Is this the typical duration? It is, but depending on the size of the area, the complexity of the geology. Also, yes. Yeah, so that's basically it. So, and then, of course, it also takes some logistical matters and stuff like that. But if the area is complex and it's a huge area, it will really have that kind of relation. I'm glad you mentioned the Kunene region, and then of course your activities there as well. It is, and perhaps this is a bit out of your scope, not directly within your scope, but I'm sure you can comment on this. When you look at perhaps some of the activities within the Kunene region, and I'm talking about the tectonic and plate activity. We've seen so many earthquakes in the areas of Sesfontein, for instance. Kamanyab as well. I remember there was a seismic activity recorded there as well. Maybe you can speak to us briefly about the seismic activity within this region and what exactly is happening. And also, as I mentioned to you during our break, I once spoke to a friend of mine and I said, I hope we never have a tsunami of sorts, considering the proximity of the sea
and looking at, these activities here. Maybe you can just give us a brief comment on that here.
Yes. Well, of course, there's seismic activities or earthquakes have really happened in this Kamanya, Angar area.
Yes.
Of course, geologically, this happens when you have a certain release of energy from the earth crust, and then if you have structures, okay, or let me say in layman's language, lineaments. Yeah. So if this gas or this energy really get to have an exit somewhere, that's where it goes, and then it shakes the earth or something like that. Yeah. So of course, our sister division, the geophysics division, they are really doing a lot of detailed work pertaining to this area, putting up seismic stations to monitor the seismic activities. So, well, it is really prone to that because there are lots of structures, geological structures in this area. So I think the mitigation aspect of it, I think, is quite now on track.
Does the mining activity in that region have anything to do with the seismic activity that we're seeing, or is it totally unrelated? Yeah?
Not necessarily. It's just some pre-tectonic movements and stuff.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yes. Thank you for that clarity.
Yes.
Mr. Hasheela, of course, I want to talk about the issue of funding. Of course, the work that you do requires funds, and I'm sure you can speak across the board. Just talk to us about where your funds come from, and is it sufficient here?
Yeah, thank you for this very good question, because as a geological survey, we really always want to get a platform where we can discuss or highlight issues pertaining to our financial needs. We get our budget, of course, through the normal channels of government, from state coffers, to carry out all our geological survey work. It's quite a costly exercise. You need to have the right technologies, and we all know how fast-growing technology is. On a daily basis, there are newer techniques that are coming out to help you map faster, cover more area, and all that sort of thing. And with that, you pay more. So there are needs, or there's funds that goes into our hardware, our softwares. And then, of course, you need to send geologists into the field to go and carry out surveys, to spend some time.
Quite extensive periods in the field.
To really ground truth sometimes what you would get from your aerial kind of surveys that you can carry out via satellite. So it's quite a costly exercise, and every year, of course, we motivate our budgets, and definitely we would never really get as much as we would like, so that we carry out as much as possible. A well-mapped Namibia definitely is, it will bring in more investment in mining.
Absolutely.
It will help us understand our geology very well, so that we mitigate any risks that are posed by geology, which can be in your land use planning, whether it's you constructing roads or you constructing any sort of infrastructure.
Very much.
So the better you understand your geology, the better you mitigate the risks.
Very much associated
but importantly, really, is to bring investment as well into mining. So if we are well resourced, or if we could be well resourced to the level at least that we would wish to, we will definitely be able to cover much and really generate more information that will bring investors to our shores.
I want to talk about the capacity of Namibia at present when it comes to geology, and I'll come to the chief geologist in a bit, but perhaps from a director's perspective. I know many years ago, perhaps at the dawn of independence, fields, professions like geology, for instance, were very scarce in Namibia. Where are we today? How would you describe our capacity today?
I think we have really heeded the call. It used to be our late founding father's call. Everywhere he will get to speak about,
STEM fields.
Yeah, he does not leave out geology.
Yes.
And really we answered to the call, and today we have trained quite a number of geologists.
Fantastic.
Unfortunately, geology, as a geologist, you get an employment in the mining industry.
Yeah.
Now, in the mining industry works in such a way that if the commodities are selling well, there is a demand, more mines will open up. But
yes.
When you find yourself in a situation where there is no demand anymore in a certain commodity,
Yes.
all of a sudden, that mine can go on care and maintenance.
True.
And all these people are laid off.
Laid off, yes.
Yeah. But definitely, we do have geologists, trained geologists
Yep.
of various experiences.
Fantastic.
And we need to, I think, really create more opportunities for our geologists so that we do not all just go into perhaps mining or
Yes.
mineral resources, but
Yes.
also apply geology, especially in issues relating to land use.
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
is what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
These are some of the areas that we can really go into or direct our country into
Yes.
in terms of the use of geology, because geology really applies into
broad,
many
yes.
it's
Many
very
areas.
broad. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it's really up to us to push it into those directions so that we open up the market for younger geologists that are graduating, that we are only not in our traditional mining.
Hopefully we'll retain them in the public sector.
Indeed,
Yes,
indeed.
yeah, yeah.
Indeed, yes.
Mr. Muvangua, just from your perspective, your thoughts on the state of geology in Namibia, our capacity, and of course, just perhaps looking at also from an academic perspective, you've seen, of course, universities like University of Namibia, pardon me, Namibia University of Science and Technology. Just talk to us about our capacity at present here.
As much as we are understaffed at the Geological Survey, we do get some geologists graduate geologists
Yes.
from various universities and institutions. But the challenge what we have is that geology entails, we have to go to the field, we have to, sometimes you have to go to remote areas. So quite frankly, some of the folks, if they go maybe for 1 or 2 times to the field, then they are discouraged because of the roughness, reality on the ground, in the field. I think in terms of capacity, we did really quite well.
Yes.
Our academic institutions really produce some good quality geologists.
Absolutely.
But I think the problem which is just now the field experience. Because for me, the professor of geology is in the field.
Yeah.
You have to understand the rocks, you have to observe the rocks in order to have experience in geology. Not the theoretical aspect of it, but the practical part of it. But I think the capacity is there. It's just that they need to be engaged in different projects or wherever they are, like exploration companies or some private small entities and stuff like that. But I do think the capacity is there, so I think we are quite good.
Just in conclusion, before we let you go, with the direction in which Namibia is headed and looking at new industries, emerging industries like oil and gas, how do you see the future of geology evolving with these new industries?
No, it goes without saying that if new industries are coming up, so geology will still be intact, it will still be there. So I think with these new industries which are on board, I think geology is still in good hands. I think we still have a future
Very much.
in geology in the country. So I think I'm positive about that.
Great stuff.
Yes.
Mr. Hasheela, just your concluding sentiments. You're also here at the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair. Just talk to us about, of course, the importance of the ministry participating as well, and of course the importance of these engagements as far as public sharing of information is concerned here.
Yeah, I think it's really, it gives us a great platform as a ministry to come and share information with the public on what it is that we do. We always tell ourselves somehow that most of the time geology is not really something that is well understood by the public.
Yes.
And I think we recognize the need to be going out more to really market and to soften it to an ordinary person to know what it is that this area of geology is all about and how it affects them in their daily lives. Why is it important? So, and I think really that is the reason why we are here, and we hope that we have reached numbers and we have, given some better understanding to the public, really, in terms of what we do as a ministry and through our Department of Geological Survey.
You certainly broadened my understanding, and I'm certain the public, our viewers as well. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for sharing your insights and expertise on this very important matter, and wish you all the best for the future. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Fantastic.
Thanks for having us.
There you have it. That was Mr. Israel Hasheela, who's the Deputy Director of the Division of Engineering and Environmental Geology, as well as Mr. Ewereth Muvangua, who is the Chief Geologist at the Ministry of Mines and Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. Of course, talking to us about all things geology related. And during the course of this week, we'll bring you more sessions in collaboration with the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy, relating to a number of areas, of course, as part of their attendance and participation at this 24th edition of the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair. For myself and Muvangua and the team, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.